So good, so good, so good.
Everything you want for summer is at Nordstrom Rack stores now and up to 60% off. Stock up and save on the brands you love like Vince, Sam Edelman, Frame, and Free People. Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
Welcome to the Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul, the podcast created for mature women who are ready to heal, rejuvenate, and thrive in every stage of life. Each week, we explore natural health, emotional wellness, spiritual growth, and empowering conversations designed to help you feel vibrant, confident, and connected. From nutrition and healing therapies to mindset to aging gracefully and inspiring guest stories, this is your space to learn, to grow, and to put yourself first. I'm your host, Susan LoPresti, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. Let's begin this journey together towards greater wellness in mind, body, and soul. Joining me on the next episode of Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul is Dr. Joe Nieusma, a highly respected senior toxicologist with more than 35 years of experience helping individuals navigate complex health challenges. Throughout his career, Dr. Joe has contributed his expertise to countless cases involving chronic gut disorders, inflammation, and neurodegenerative conditions such as dementia. Today, he serves as a leading expert with Live Longer Labs, a company that's focused on advancing wellness through innovative antioxidant support with carbon 60 C60. Passionate about empowering people with knowledge, Dr. Joe advocates for evidence-based natural approaches that can help women manage chronic conditions while reducing dependence on unnecessary medications. In this enlightening conversation, Dr. Joe shares insights on the powerful connection between inflammation, DNA health, telomeres, intermittent fasting, and the aging process. He also explains why resilience is one of the most important foundations for long-term vitality and well-being. Get ready for a fascinating discussion filled with practical wisdom for anyone who's seeking to age stronger, healthier, and with greater energy. And without further ado, Dr. Joe, welcome to the podcast. Dr. Joe, thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited for this conversation that we're about to have.
Thanks for having me on your podcast, Susan. It's a pleasure to be here, and hopefully we can give some nuggets of knowledge to your listeners that make them think today. We'll see.
Absolutely. So let's start out. My first question for you is, can you share your own personal journey into toxicology and what inspired you to dedicate over 35 years to this field?
I can do that. I was the son of an oral surgeon. My dad was always in medical fields, and I grew up thinking that I would go to college, go to pre-med, go to medical school, and be a doctor. And as I was finishing my undergraduate in at Central Michigan University, I got a job for Dow Chemical in Midland, Michigan, where I was a co-op, they called it, and I was basically supporting tox studies for herbicides and pesticide registration. And so I was working with a bunch of PhDs, and they knew that I wanted to go to medical school, and they knew that I was finishing pre-med and going to go that route. And every single one of them without fail said, you should also apply to graduate school in case you don't get into medical school. And I was an arrogant young buck thinking, not get into medical school. Well, I ended up applying to 8 medical schools and a couple graduate programs, and I got into a couple graduate programs. So I headed out to Colorado from Michigan to the University of Colorado School of Pharmacy Molecular and Environmental Toxicology program, where I got my PhD in toxicology and really have never looked back. And it's the blessing in disguise Susan, is that I've realized that sick people aren't really my ball of yarn.
Uh-huh.
And my perspective is always making sure they don't get sick in the first place.
Oh, I love that.
And in toxicology, my 38 years in toxicology, I've always been on the employee safety side or the patient safety side of things. So I've worked in that awful industry, pharma, for a long time, but it's always been in protecting the people that are making those tablets and capsules and making sure that not only are they safe in doing their job, but the people that take those tablets and capsules aren't getting products that are cross contaminated with other products. So that's been my focus is occupational exposure levels and levels of drugs that can be found in different drugs before they're an issue for people. And I've always gotten a lot of satisfaction out of helping people and helping them to help themselves in creating a very simple path to wellness that's not violent pivots and way too much at way too much time, and so that you're destined and set up to fail. And yeah, because I'm a 58-year-old guy who looked in the mirror one day and said, "Oh my God, how did I get this big?" I am Dutch, and that puts me in the top 2% size wise of people. I've been told there's a lot of Viking bloodlines in my lineage from the Friesland Islands north in the North Sea, north of the Netherlands. I'm big to begin with, but then I abuse the privilege. And because I like to eat, and I never turn down having a beer with a pal. So, what do you do? What's the basic advice that you wake up and you see this fat guy staring back at you in the mirror and you're like, how did I get here? And there's nothing on this planet that you can swallow or inject that's going to get you back to your teenage fighting weight in a month. There just isn't. It took you 58 years to get here. It's going to take more than a month to get back to where you want to be. So, the whole idea of wellness and taking responsibility for your own decisions over time and creating a path forward, that's how I have really developed in my PhD in my 38 years and trying to stay on the wellness side of things and stay in helping people with making sure their jobs don't hurt them and making sure that pharmaceuticals don't hurt them. And I actually think that having gone through the pre-med program and having lived with my dad who was in healthcare and going to work with him and seeing how he cared for people, it did instill a love of humans. And as much as I like to call myself a loner, grumpy old man, my wife continually reminds me that I need the social outlets because I'm the social butterfly of the pair.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you because you've worked on countless complex health cases over time. What are some of the most common root causes that you've seen behind chronic illness today?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question, Susan. There's the top six diseases of the aged, if you will. And quickly, those are heart disease, diabetes, cancer, cognitive decline, things like Alzheimer's and dementia,
Yeah.
arthritis, and infections. Those are your top six. The common denominator in every single one of these things is inflammation, unchecked inflammation that is not battled and over time is so detrimental to the human body.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
So how do we combat inflammation? Is that a whole
It is.
How
That's a
much
great
time do we
question.
have?
There's multiple tiers to it. It's like an onion. You got to peel away the layers.
Yes.
But I guess that came out of Shrek, didn't it? But the battling inflammation is a lifelong battle because everybody's amount of inflammation is different because everybody's body is different. Nobody is the same. And nobody is the same with the way they react to the soup of toxins that we live in. the stuff that's in the air we breathe, the stuff that's in the water we drink, the stuff that's in the food we choose to eat, the stuff that's in our environment where we live. And so everybody's level of inflammation is different. So everybody's effects are different, but you need to have some sort of anti-inflammatory regimen. When we're young, that's easy because we get enough activity, we stay hydrated, we have enough rest usually, and our body creates enough of the antioxidants. The poster child for that is glutathione. Everybody's heard of glutathione.
Yes.
And you can supplement your glutathione with N-acetylcysteine or with a liposomal form. There's a couple great products out on the market that have supplemental glutathione. One of my favorites is it's a company out of Louisville, Colorado. It's called Quicksilver Scientific. They were a client of mine toxicologically. I wrote a lot of their SDSs for their products. So they have a great liposomal glutathione product. I always tell people, check there. They got their roots in metal detoxification, which is also another great topic. But it's the best way. Vitamin C is also the poster child for antioxidant activity. And vitamin C is excellent, very good. Most people get enough in their diet. If you don't get enough in your diet, you can't stand eating oranges, or you don't like lemons in your water, or what have you, or you don't have enough Coronas with the lime on top, then maybe you need to boost your vitamin C. Everybody looks at the label and it says, take X amount of units of vitamin C. To really get a great antioxidant effect, you need to boost that a lot. And your body will take what it needs and it'll pee the rest of it out. But the fact of the matter is, the label is a guideline where the general population will have some effect and there won't be any deleterious effects, but you can really boost that. And I think the best antioxidant on the planet is carbon 60. Carbon 60 was discovered right around 2000, 2010-ish. And it was by Buckminster Fuller. He actually won the Nobel Prize for discovering carbon 60 with the whole talking about the buckyballs, because carbon 60 is a molecule of 60 carbons which forms into a sphere, call it like a soccer ball or something. And these 60 carbons can really get after reactive oxygen species and in the excess oxygen radicals, which lead to the inflammation. So by scavenging those oxygen radicals, it is squelching inflammation in your body. Now, I'm going to tell your listeners right away that the carbon 60 market is very saturated with a lot of products out there. So if you go online and you search carbon 60, you're going to get all kinds of options. It's a buyer beware market. There's two things you need to worry about, because when you type in carbon 60 and should I take it, the first thing that comes up is going to be a couple articles that say, no, don't take this stuff. It's bad for you. It's highly toxic. It's going to kill you. And what they're referring to is impure carbon 60. So there's side chains on the little carbons and they break off and you get side chain toxicity. And the other one is solvents in the processing. So if you buy a cheap carbon 60 product, it is possible to get those toxicity reactions that they are describing in the literature. So are the articles false? No, not completely. Can you see that stuff? Yes, absolutely. It's a buyer beware market. Don't go for the cheapest product. Look for the most pure form of carbon 60 and one that doesn't use solvents in the processing. Okay. And the one I like to recommend is by livelongerlabs.com.
Okay. I was just going to ask you.
And this is a product that was actually innovated by a guy by the name of Max. And he used to work for me when I was running a think tank out in Denver, and we were doing all kinds of creative technologies and stuff. And my particular company was in charge of securing the patents and the IP. So in 3.5 years, we were awarded 23 patents. So that was very successful. But Max was one of my super smart guys. And when he was done solving the problem that he solved for me, he went to his mountaintop retreat. And when he got back home, his son, who was taking care of his elderly mother, was telling Max that his mother had started to slip into early onset dementia. And Max was not ready to accept that. And he was a critical thinker. So he got online and started doing some research in dementia, found out that there is a basis in inflammation. It says, how do you battle inflammation? You need antioxidants. How do you do that? He found carbon 60 right at the beginning. Like, he had maybe a handful of articles. And if you get on those databases now and Google carbon 60, you'll get thousands and thousands. So Max actually has a patented product that was awarded before all the big pharma companies got on board and started writing patents for everything under the sun for carbon 60. And anyway, he formulated the very pure carbon 60 without solvents into olive oil and took a bunch of it himself, making sure it didn't kill him. And when it didn't, he gave it to his mom. So his mom was already an octogenarian, over 80. And she started feeling much better. And one day, Max came back to he owned this complex of guest lodges in Colorado. And his mom was living in one of those guest lodges. She had taken the bus from the small town down to the big town and gone to the division of motor vehicles, retaken her driver's test at 80 something years old,
Wow.
passed the vision test without her corrective lenses for the first time in 40 years. And then came back and told Max that I got my driver's license back. I don't need glasses. I want you to buy me a car.
We need to start taking what she was taking.
It's carbon 60. It's just so Max did so well by his mom. She got all of her mental capacities back. She lived another 8 years before something else failed, and she decided to transition and move on and probably haunts him now. But Max actually said that his mother became so normalized and back to his normal mom the way she was when he was growing up, that he said his mom actually got to annoy him by the end.
Wow.
It's absolutely fantastic. So another little story is part of the process in that particular product. Max had about a half a dozen friends that they all took a telomere test.
Yeah.
And that's the telomere test. If your listeners don't know, it's a snapshot of your cellular health and the length of your telomeres, which is part of the cell replication technology. The longer the telomeres, the healthier the cells, and the longer they'll replicate and be fully functional. The shorter the telomeres, then the cell has a risk of becoming senescent and becoming a zombie cell, basically a resource sink. So they did that. They took the test, and then they took carbon 60 for a couple of months, and they retook another test. And the manufacturer of the telomere test, when they analyzed that second test, they called Max and said, we need to send you another test kit because we don't believe the results that you guys got across the board. It's impossible. So they did it and they got the same results again.
Wow.
And what they saw was that these 6 people had decreased significantly in chronological age with this carbon 60, and the length of their telomeres had actually significantly increased. And it's those types of things that now the secret was out, and Max, who developed this product to save his mom, was now on the hook because people had heard about it. People wanted it, and Max's kind of semi-retired life was now driven by having a product that everybody in the world will want. He's been setting up manufacturing and begrudgingly doing, and then he went from just olive oil to olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil, and then he formulated it in black seed oil. And anybody in the wellness business knows black seed oil. Nigella sativa is a tremendously powerful natural product in and of itself. And he sent me that in one day. He says, what do you think of this, Nigella sativa? Because I've done his toxicology, and I looked it up, and I said, this is a fantastic natural product. It's got all kinds of benefits for the human body. And he's okay, good, thanks. And then he came out with a gel cap because apparently black seed oil is really poor tasting. I've never tasted it, but
I haven't, but I've heard that as well.
So then he offers it in a gel cap. So he's got this line of C60 products that are ultra pure. That's key number 1. And there are no solvents used in the process. That's key number 2. And my mom is now 86. She turned 86 in February. She's been on carbon 60 for 7 years. And she's had 2 knee surgeries. The first one was before she was on carbon 60. The second one was after. She said the second one, there was a lot less pain, a lot less swelling, a lot less inflammation, and her rehab and physical therapy went tremendously better. So
I'm curious, for an older person like your mom you just mentioned, if they're on other kinds of prescription meds, is there any kind of negative effect of taking?
None. Not a single one. And I look at that for everybody that I tell about C60. I'm like, what else you want? Tell me your drug products, tell me your over-the-counters, tell me your supplements, because you never know in that mix of what people are taking to be as healthy as they can. There's going to be something that potentially interacts. I haven't found anything that interacts with carbon 60 yet. So that is a fantastic question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
I want, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and it works for the young too. My son, he's graduating college Saturday. He's graduating from Lake Forest College, just north of Chicago. And he played 4 years of college hockey after playing all of his youth hockey. So he's an elite athlete. And he uses carbon 62 to help recover. So those elite athletes that are always working out, that are always got some aches and pains that need tending to, because that's all inflammation. He uses it and to help his athletic performance. So old,
So,
young, medium, it all helps.
so
What does it do?
basically, it helps to eliminate or reduce inflammation, which basically causes pain
And I can give
and
you what it
also
does for me.
disease,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Disease as well.
I think
Yeah.
it preempts a lot of development of disease. For me, when I take it, the very first time I ever took carbon 60, what I noticed is that within 48 hours, you know how sometimes you blink and you get those little floaties in your field of vision?
Yes.
They were gone. And if I forget to take carbon 60 for about a week, they come back and I'll
Huh.
take it and they're gone again. The other thing I notice, I sleep better. I got
Oh.
more energy and I don't need as much sleep. And the aforementioned about being big and abusing the privilege, I see the hips, the knees, and the ankles, the general wear and tear and that, ugh, I got to get up feeling lessens or goes away. That's huge. Not just me, but the effect is huge.
Yeah.
And that's for everyday men, women, children, middle age, like, oh my God, how did I make it to this old? And wow, I can't believe I'm living still. All of those different life stages can benefit from the carbon 60. And it's one of those things that a lot of people take it. And after a month, they're like, this isn't doing anything for me. And I tell them, they call me back and say, what are you talking about? I said, okay, we'll stop. And then when they stop, all this stuff creeps back in.
Oh,
And it's one of those situations where sometimes taking it away really emphasizes what it does for people, because
yes.
that's the power of managing your inflammation.
Right.
And people can have inflammation of anything. The people that have the chronic inflammation of nerves and like chronic arthritis and those autoimmune diseases that are so debilitating, the immune system just never gets the billet. It's fine and dandy as long as it's working right, but as soon as it gets out of whack, man, it is powerful. And the immune system can mess up your life faster than anything else. If you manage the inflammation, you keep that in check a lot longer. And
Yeah.
it's amazing, the testimonial after testimonial. And if people like to go down that rabbit hole, you go to livelongerlabs.com and you can read about it forever. You might even find a video of me talking about how it works.
So now it's available in a liquid form, like an
Mhm.
olive oil, or a pill form.
Exactly. It's available in olive oil, coconut oil, or avocado oil, depending upon your taste preference. And then it's available in a gel cap with black seed oil. Yeah.
Does the olive oils have black seed oil in there as well, or
No,
no? No,
no.
just okay.
Yeah. And those oil ones, they're come in little bottles with a dropper in it, and it's designed to last a month. I have a good friend of mine, is a retired physician. Her name is Loretta Ivory. And her eye doctor actually told her she was beginning to get macular degeneration. You know what
Mm,
that is?
yeah.
If your listeners don't, that's where your field of vision starts getting a big hole in it and it grows and grows until you're blind. And the leading theory was that there's no treatment for it and prepare yourself to be blind because there's nothing we can do. Loretta Ivory, being a critical thinking physician, said, I'm not going to accept there's nothing we can do, and read about and delved into macular degeneration. And everything she read pointed to a basis in inflammation. So, what did she do? She took a bottle of the olive oil designed for a month. She took one of those every Sunday. So, she took a month's worth of C60 every week. And she has the before and after pictures, and she's happy to talk to people about this story. But the eye doctors broke their arms, patting themselves on the back with what a fine job they did for Loretta, because not only did she stop the progression of her incurable eye disease, but she reversed it and still to this day has full vision in both eyes. That's huge, because
This is like a miracle.
it is. It absolutely is. And that's just managing inflammation. See, what I think, Susan, is the body's divine design, if you give it the right ingredients and the right pieces and parts, it does what it's designed to do, and that's heal. And that's just, if you give it that chance, it will heal. And what carbon 60 does is it eliminates a lot of those firefights that the body is dealing with on a daily basis, frees up resources to do what your body's designed to do, which is heal. And it's really that simple. And if I were to say, is there one supplement that somebody should take to give themselves the best advantage to stay on this rock for as long as possible? It's carbon 60, because it hits so many different things. And just by managing the inflammation, it stops potential disease progression cold. And for instance, I think there's a lot of toxic exposure as mechanism for these disease processes. I think that probably 90 to 95% of today's cancers is due to toxic exposure.
Yeah.
And you eliminate those exposures, you're going to watch people miraculously get better. And there's toxic exposure in a lot more of those other critical illnesses. And the toxic exposure, that thing that the body is being exposed to that they're not supposed to be being exposed to, the result of that exposure, more times than not, is inflammation. It's really the common denominator.
Yeah. So I know that you had experience with gut disorders, right?
Right?
And
Yep.
how important is gut health when it comes to overall wellness, inflammation, and also aging?
It's absolutely huge. It's leaky gut is probably
Oh,
so
I had that.
under underdiagnosed, because it sneaks up on you. The fancy word is insidious. It sneaks up on you, and you as a person tend to tolerate this new set of symptoms as the normal.
Yeah.
So you don't realize that A, something's wrong, and B, I can do something about it now. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until you reach your threshold of, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And you actually start to think about the problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If everybody were trained to listen to their bodies when we're in our 20s, when we're immortal and we can do everything, we can go out drinking all night long, still make it to work the next day at 7 in the same clothes you went out in. You can't do. You can still drink like that when you're in your 50s. You just can't recover. It takes 5
No.
days before you can walk again. So, but it's that type of thinking that if everybody were in tune and listening to their body, your body's trying to tell you, but the pathways up here, the 6 inches between your ears, aren't on receive at that point in your life. And then as these symptoms sneak up on you, leaky gut is the cells in your intestines. You can have some linings where those cells are only a couple cell layers thick, 1, 2, 3 cells. And when you're eating a lot of, I would say, sharp foods that's going through there, you're ripping holes in that very tiny capillary membrane beds. And what's supposed to remain inside your gut gets outside your gut. And it's that exposure, and you can even call it a toxic exposure this time, because it's supposed to be inside and it's outside.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, a human GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, so from your mouth to the other business end, is connected. And the inside of a human GI tract is actually outside your body. Think about that. And the stuff that's in there, if it's good for you, your body pulls it out, sends it to where it wants it to be, and uses it. If it's bad for you, what does it do? Vomiting, diarrhea.
Yeah.
You get rid of that as fast as you possibly can,
Yes.
because it's still outside the body. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's why the GI tract is really the front line of toxic exposure in the body. And if you have a toxin that can get through that GI tract and get into a systemic exposure situation, and that can be through your gut and eating something, or through water and drinking something. And then you also have the route of exposure, breathing it, and then it gets out of your lungs. It's a little different path, but it's still a systemic route of exposure. So not fixing leaky gut and allowing those symptoms to go on and on at a very little bit is dangerous over time. There's a whole field in toxicology called hormesis.
Yeah.
And that field is the low-level exposure, subtherapeutic they call it, to any agent, pharmaceutical agents in the pharma industry. And that's because in any waterway, you can take a sample of that and you'll probably find birth control pills, hormonal agents, antidepressants, and antibiotics. And so the publicly owned treatment works, the stuff that takes the dirty water and makes it clean again and sends it out, aren't designed to take those chemicals out. Everybody that's drinking tap water is being exposed to these agents in low levels. In addition to the pharmaceuticals, you also have microplastics, and you have probably things like Roundup and all kinds of other weed killers or fertilizers in there. And so I always try to tell people, in addition to the antioxidant effect of carbon-60, get yourself a water filter. Run it through a Brita, run it through your fridge. Don't drink tap water. Tap water is regulated to be just good enough to not make you sick. And then all the rest of the stuff provides exposures to stuff you shouldn't be exposed to. And what happens then? Your body takes it, it battles it, creates inflammation. So everybody's got different levels of inflammation. Leaky gut is the exact same way. It contributes to the inflammation that your body has to battle on a daily basis.
Yeah. I had leaky gut years ago.
Did you get it fixed?
Yes, because I did not know I had celiac disease.
Change your diet.
Yeah. And
watch what you eat.
Yes, I was inflamed from head to toe, literally.
How did that feel? What did your body tell you when you were full of inflammation?
I was in my early 40s.
Tell your listeners.
And I
what
felt
to
like
listen
I
to.
was in my 80s at that point.
Yeah. Getting up was hard to do. Walking a few steps was hard to do.
I couldn't walk upstairs. I had frozen shoulder, both shoulders. I couldn't go like this.
Yeah. You couldn't lift things that you had always been able to lift.
Migraine headaches, all kinds of gut issues. Oh,
does this sound familiar to anyone else out there? You could very well have leaky gut and not know it. You could be fully healthy, fully capable, fully just thinking, oh my God, I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm tired. Life is wearing me down. Could be something else that's very manageable.
I would imagine, I'm not a doctor, but I would imagine that a large portion of the population has leaky gut.
I think so. Or some other type of toxic exposure, because we all live in the same soup of toxic exposure. Right. And the easiest way that I like to explain how we live is our body is made up of billions of cells, obviously. But let's simplify that and make us one cell. So we're all one cell. In our one cell, we have a bucket of defense mechanisms. And in that, we have a bunch of glutathione and some vitamin C because we take it, and whatever else we add in there. And as long as there's reactive oxygen species being produced, they're going to go into that bucket and grab something and neutralize themselves, and everything's happy and hunky-dory. That's the one design flaw in the human body. As we breathe and convert into ATP at the inner membrane of the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, as that chemical reaction happens, reactive oxygen species are produced as a side effect all day long, every day. And so that cell needs to have the antioxidants to squelch that process. Otherwise, when the cellular defense mechanisms run out, those reactive oxygen species start hitting critical cellular macromolecules. Things like cell membranes, enzymes, receptors, DNA, RNA, all the things that are necessary for cellular function in life. And if you have a cell that runs out of cellular defenses and gets overwhelmed and dies, if that happens to a lot of cells, then you get the death of a tissue. And if that happens to a lot of tissues, then you get the death of an organ. And when you get the death of an organ, that's when it starts knocking on the human's door saying, hey, we're not going to be alive very long. And it's a cascading process. Yeah. The human body is designed to take a lot of abuse before we have to pay the piper. If that weren't the case, then we'd all have been dead a long time ago. Yeah. With smoking and drinking and eating charbroiled food and living in cities or countries, because they both have their specific stuff that's in the air. And it's just something would take us out, or the bacteria or viruses or any of those things. Even having mold in your house, and all construction material has mold. All you need to do is add moisture and warmth, and
Yeah.
bam, you're going to have mold. And it kicks out these respiratory toxins, and it destroys your respiratory system. So it's just all living in a soup of toxicity. But you know what? If you manage your inflammation, you got a fighting chance of sticking around long enough to irritate your children.
I want to go back to glutathione for a minute. Could you take that with the carbon 60, or does that replace it?
You could, but it's redundant.
Okay.
Carbon 60 is just as good as glutathione.
Okay.
Glutathione is a biochemical reaction. So you need the glutathione and a couple cofactors in there, and it goes in and it grabs one oxygen radical and neutralizes it. And then it has to find its cofactors again, reload, and do it again. Carbon 60 is this group of 60 carbons. It picks up hydrogens in the local environment of the cell, and then it gives those hydrogens to each one of those oxygen radicals. And it's got this, it can do that 6 times in the time that it takes glutathione to do it once. So it's 6 times faster than
Okay.
glutathione. And it's
So
a
that's a
chemical
no-brainer.
reaction rather than a biochemical reaction.
Right.
Very good question, though.
Okay. So now I want to go on to neurodegenerative conditions.
First and foremost, I mean, you have to engage. You can't isolate yourself and cut off. You've heard the saying, as soon as you stop learning, you start dying. There's
Yeah.
a lot of truth to that. You find the folks that are happier as they age are the ones that are doing crossword puzzles, that are doing the Sudokus, that are doing the intellectually stimulating stuff. They find something to read every day, and they're engaging with the people they're living with, and they still have a strong contact with family. I think we're seeing an explosion of the neurodegenerative diseases, probably from some toxic exposure that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
But I think it gets worse because it's a tragedy the way old folks are treated in this country. They're thrown out by their families and put in institutions where very low hourly waged people try to take care of them. And it's just not like it would be if you were at home with your family in a loving environment. And unfortunately, what do you do about that?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So,
No.
but I think that the degenerative neurodiseases, so dementia and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and all have unchecked inflammation as part of their root cause. And the faster that people add supplemental antioxidants on board, the longer they're going to stave off those conditions. And aging in humans happens because our DNA repair enzymes get less efficient over time. And that's why you see the gray hairs and the fine lines and wrinkles and the extra soreness and that sort of thing. It's because our bodies don't repair the replication process as efficiently when we're younger as when we're older. And if you believe the Bible, it says that the human body is designed to live about 100 to 135 years. And there's the very first study that was done on carbon 60. It was out of a group in Paris in 2012. The researcher's name is Baati, Baati, so you can look it up. And right after Buckminster Fuller made this discovery, this group in Paris said, well, I'm going to take this stuff, put it in olive oil, feed it to rats. We're going to see how fast these rats die, and we're going to put this to bed right away. So they got this colony of rats. Rats live about 2 years. And they gave some of them olive oil as a vehicle, some of them just water, and some of them the carbon 60 in olive oil. Gave it to them every day for the first 6 months. And then they gave it to them once a week and then once a month and weaned it back and then stopped giving it to them altogether. At 2 years, all the control animals were dead. A little over 2 years, some of the olive oil or most of the olive oil rats were dead. Not a single carbon 60 rat was dead yet. Those rats, when the group got tired of taking care of them and ended the study, those rats' lives were expanded 93%. And if you do the calculation, if it's right straight from humans to rats, It means humans should live about 140 years.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on, or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Wow. Get me some carbon 60.
Yeah, and it's nowadays you can look online and you can find the research, and if you know how to get past the hit pieces, you can see a lot of useful information that's out there on carbon 60 nowadays. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. It's just, if people go online to Live Longer Labs and buy this, there's actually a coupon code. If you use Dr. Joe 15, so DRJOE 15, they'll give you a discount, and then you can put that on your show.
I want to get all this information so I could put it in the show notes. So
Yeah,
we will definitely do that. Let me see, what else did I want to ask you? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I'll talk about anything, Susan.
So give
That's the
us
thing. I
your
could do this all day long.
give us some final thoughts to leave us with as far as maintaining good health. Everyone wants to live longer, right? And I see this. My mom right now is in a rehab, and because she had some health issues, and so she's doing fine. But those around her, half of them are like vegetables. They're in wheelchairs. They're slumped over.
You're waiting to die.
I want to live forever, or at least a long time, but I want to live with a good quality of life.
Yes,
So
exactly.
talk to
I'll give
us
you my
about
top
it.
three.
Okay.
Obviously, the top one is manage inflammation. You can do that with carbon 60.
Right.
Top two is try to eliminate other toxins in your life with water. Run it through a filter. The one I use, I have an urn on my counter and I have an urn in my fridge. I use the zero water filter. You can buy it from any big box store or Amazon. I get them by the case, and they send you a total dissolved solids meter. You measure your water. When it gets over that number, you replace the filter. And it's all based on your source water quality as to how long that filter lasts. But it will take out all kinds of stuff from your water, your chlorine, your fluoride, your heavy metals, your PFOAs and PFOSs, your microplastics, all of those stuff that should not be in the water. And when you increase the quality of your water, you will drink more water, and that cuts down your need for sugary beverages, your sodas and your Gatorades and everything else, because sugar is just as addicting as heroin, but that's a whole different show.
Yeah.
And then secondly, my food advice, the best food advice I ever got was from a lawyer. And I was getting ready to be his expert on I don't even remember the case, but we were getting ready to go into deposition and we were having lunch together. And he's a toxicologist. Yeah. With food, if you eat half and mostly plants, you're going to be okay. And I got to thinking about that advice, and it's, oh my God, that's fabulous advice. Eat half and mostly plants, and you're going to be okay. Yeah. So that's it. Some form of water purification filter. If money's not an object, go with a reverse osmosis system. It takes everything out, but then you want some of the little minerals in there. So, the zero water filter is a great way to go. And then third, don't eat so much. Humans are the only people or only animals on the planet that will eat themselves to death.
Yes. I want to go back to the water filters though, because I have a Brita filter and I use that. But it's the thing that holds the water. I can't think. Let's say the jug. It's plastic.
Yeah.
And I can't find a water filter that has a glass holder.
The zero water filter has a big glass urn that we have on our countertop. It's probably a 2.5 gallon glass urn, zero water filter. I'd tell you where we got it, but my wife is in charge of all acquisitions and purchases.
I'll look around for it.
And I have absolutely no idea where she got it.
That's her job.
Yes, it is. She tries to keep me upright and functioning and back in the cave, I call it. So you can see that behind me.
Dr. Joe, thank you so much for being here today. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and you're leaving my listeners with a lot of information and healthy tips. And I want to be sure that I have all of your information because I want to buy the carbon 60 for myself.
I'll tell you, the best way to get me is go to my website, superiortoxicology.com.
Okay.
And you can hit the contact sheet and it'll send me an email. Or if you go to the about, you'll actually find my cell phone number. It's on there and I answer it whenever I can. Or if you leave me a voicemail, I'll get back to you. Sometimes it takes longer than other times, but I
Yes.
will get back to you. And so that's the easiest way to reach me is superiortoxicology.com. And if you find that your listeners have a group of questions and they want to know a deeper dive into any one or two topics, I'm happy to come back. We'll do a deeper dive in that subject and we'll give them another 30 minutes, 45 minutes and answer all their questions. And that would be absolutely fabulous for me to do that because I enjoyed this conversation too.
Thank you. I did as well. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
What an enlightening conversation with Dr. Joe. Today's episode reminded us that aging doesn't have to mean decline. With the right knowledge, with the right daily habits, and a willingness to address root causes like inflammation, toxicity, and cellular stress, we can support our bodies in powerful ways. Dr. Joe shared valuable insights on resilience, DNA health, gut wellness, telomeres, and the importance of evidence based natural approaches that help us thrive as we age. His message is clear. Our bodies have an incredible ability to heal and regenerate when we give them the support that they need. I hope this episode inspired you to take a closer look at your own health journey and remember that it's never too late to make positive changes. Small steps taken consistently can lead to a lasting transformation. Thank you so much for joining us on Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave me a review so more people can discover these empowering conversations. Until the next time, take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, and keep choosing health, healing, and vitality every single day. Thank you for listening.